cold, clear, clean water is important for creeks and rivers because that's the natural state of creeks and rivers. In Oregon in the last 100 years, watersheds have been diked, they've been dredged, they've been dammed, and of course we have logging, farming and agriculture, and urbanization. Streams across and watersheds across Oregon have been devastating. So while we think of Oregon as being a place where we have pristine watersheds and clean water, in fact many watersheds across Oregon have been highly impacted.
This is really sad. We are literally ruining the earth that we live on and that we rely upon for life. And it just really saddens me greatly to see what we're doing with our environment and our world. And I don't want to leave that kind of a legacy for my children, your children, or anyone.
And it's so easy to walk, even in just this watershed, and see, you know, bit by bit we're losing land. We're seeing sites degrade. And if we don't do something about it now, it's much harder to go back and repair that, recover that later. In fact, it may be impossible to do that. There's a lot of people out there who want to be involved, who look around and say, this is important, we have to do something now, this site is going to be lost if we don't. But they don't know how to get started. And SOLV provides sort of the spark, the kickoff, connects people together in the right way, and helps to make that happen.
In the urban area, we have many significant impacts on our urban watersheds. One of those impacts is that invasive species have invaded the area and actually taken over many watersheds. What the Team Up program does is that enlisting volunteers from businesses and churches and schools.
We're planting trees, the Girl Scouts.
We ask them to help us pull out these invasive species, and sometimes it's digging them root by root.
Victory.
And I think what we see is a great example of people working together, coming out to help us pull out these invasive species and plant native vegetation.
Well, actually, we've lived here for about 25 years, and until this project started, we never were able to see the creek.
And it was eye-opening for us to come down here the morning after SOLV had spent their first day here. We looked down where the blackberry vines had been, and there were thousands of deer hoof prints. And it dawned on us that for the first time in our memory, the deer knew that they could get to water here at Wilson Creek. And that was just a lovely moment. It made us realize how important it is for all the wildlife.
So we really appreciate you guys coming out today and to be a part of SOLV. The 30 kids and 15 parents that we have out here today, they are coming into an area where the blackberries have been cleared away mostly and planting 200 shrubs and trees. These shrubs and trees are going to help maintain the soil to prevent erosion, provide habitat for wildlife, and give shade to the stream to keep the stream cool and a good habitat for fish to live.
How come the trees have to be planted here? Why is it so important to have trees by the side of the stream?
It's because it helps us oxygen. It's because when we breathe, oxygen becomes carbon dioxide, and then it goes into the tree, and then it treats for oxygen. And carbon dioxide is actually a tree's food.
Well, you guys are smart.
Well, I'm not sure.
What the kids get to see is a couple of things. First, they get to see adults out doing something actively outside in the environment, but taking an interest in the community. And kids will remember that. They get to see a lot of things they don't normally get to see. They get to get muddy. They get to look at snakes. We go looking for salamanders and frogs. You know, all these things that I think kids miss out on these days.
It didn't get in this condition overnight, and it's not going to get fixed overnight. It takes a long-term commitment, and I see SOLV has made that commitment. They've made the commitment to us. They've made the commitment in other areas to be the long-term helper for that. They can't solve it by themselves. Nobody can.
SOLV is an organization that ends up doing a lot of really small pieces that grow into a very large picture that is so important for Oregon.
Perfect.
Even though this is a very small piece of one creek that's flowing into the Columbia Slough, There's tons of groups out today with SOLV doing the same thing on other creeks, and all together it makes a really big difference for the waterways in Oregon.
What SOLV does to foster a sense of community is give these opportunities. And it's not like a life commitment. You come out for 2 or 3 hours and you meet people you wouldn't necessarily have ever met or engaged in any other way. But suddenly, because you've done something together for those 2 or 3 hours, you have that sense of ownership. You have a stake in your community, and I think that ripples through.
All the things that we do in the watershed affect in some way the water quality in our urban streams and rivers. And it's the water we drink, it's the places we recreate, it's the waterways our children swim in, and it's the fish we catch. All of those things are part of, part of our life.
Things are changing all over the world, and Oregon's not excluded from that. Every day we hear about kind of additional waterways that have been polluted, about oil spills, about garbage that isn't being taken care of. And if we don't decide to take action today and to really do something now, it's going to be so much more challenging in the future to actually make a difference. And so it's so important that today SOLV is out and it's working, and it's getting kids like this involved who are for the first time planting their tree and talking about coming back a year from now to see how far it's grown, and 2 years from now to see how much taller it is, and getting kids to care today.
We cannot afford to let this go, because our children will be the ones that suffer, and they won't have the livability that we have. And I think it's very important that we all make a commitment to that for everyone.